Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, December 1st. It is the first day of the new month, so we'll go over the monthly close that happened last night, which was actually the highest monthly close since the FTX collapse. So got some continuous good news in the market. Crypto total market cap is slightly down because we did see. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I did not refresh this. So, crypto market cap is actually up 2.5%. Bitcoin's up 3%. ETH up 3%. So those are neck and neck over the past 24 hours, which is definitely good because ETH has been lagging. So this could be a bit of a signal that ETH is going to play a little catch up. Bitcoin sentiment is cranking. More tweets happening, total trading volume above that magic 40 number, and average daily sentiment is 57. So yes, TGIF, love it in the chat. Please keep it going. So we've got some random shit coins that are pumping like crazy. Most bullish coins are absolutely kicking butt. Even some of the bearish coins are still having good days. And when we look at stablecoin net flows, got a lot of stables coming in recently since the daily close happened. We did have a big withdrawal happen, but we've got way more deposits than we have withdrawals. So that's definitely a good sign. And obviously Bitcoin sentiment has been bullish pretty much since November 28th, and obviously growing higher today along with price action. We are seeing a bit of a price boost right now, so we'll go over that in just a second. So DXY, like we talked about yesterday, it did end up zooming up to this 103.6 level, but this does look like a pretty nasty rejection candle. Obviously still have to wait till 5 p.m. for this to close, but preliminary results showing that's a pretty ugly candle. And if it breaks below this level right here, it will likely end up finding this level here. And obviously if it breaks below here, it's going to do something like that. So this is pretty much these are the three options for DXY right now. Break above this level, move higher, get rejected at this level, move lower, either hold this level and kind of ping pong around, or if we break below this level, head lower. And like I said, we talked about that RSI yesterday, getting rejected right here, not end all be all, but when we see stock RSI kind of curling, and whenever it kind of, does one of these motions, typically has led to lower price action. So if this does kind of come across like that, my bet would be that at minimum, we're back down to 102.4 or possibly heading down to 101. And of course, if DXY is moving lower, typically risk assets are getting the benefit and moving higher. So we definitely want to see this come back down for the sake of risk assets. So equities, we mentioned this, we've been talking about this level all week, and it has held. So we had 3 taps, and you guys know how I like to trade 3 taps. So 1, 2, 3. Typically on that 3rd tap, you will end up, running to the high of the range. And I'm considering this entire area of the range, even though technically this is currently the high of the range, just based on how things look and this beautiful round number. I think 4,600 is the high end of the range, but it needs to be said, we do need to break above this level to get up there. I know it's very close, but obviously if you're longing on this tap and this 1 hour estimated trending moving average, you're looking good. And if we look back, in the way that I typically like to trade is we held the VWAP. So the weekly VWAP, I should say. So a lot of tweezers sitting around here at this blue line, which is the weekly VWAP. We held that, and now we're obviously cranking higher. So now that we're above this high right here, we want to stay above that, get above this high, and then we can start to target up here. And as you can see here, a lot of buy volume coming in as well. So a lot of buys yesterday towards the end of the US trading session. We also have a lot of buys coming in during today's trading session. So I would definitely say 4,600 is next up, but we do, again, have to remember that we have to contend with 45.87, 45.88 before we can get up to that level. So Bitcoin, let's go back to the 1 hour, get a little bit more of a micro analysis. So we told the TTC community, beneath 38.3, you're going to drop back. And then obviously you've got these kind of small little ranges here. And then if you can close above 38.8, then you will make your way up to 39.6. Now, the difficulty here is obviously you're seeing a lot of selling come in, a lot of shorts opening, as we break above these highs. Because if you think about it, if we kind of zoom out again and let me normalize the chart, basically every time that we've eclipsed the previous local high, we've been sent back down, right? So this area right here, and then so this was that previous high, so we eclipsed that high, so we basically swept that high, and then we got sent back lower. So that's happened multiple times on the chart, and obviously we're still making these higher lows, and we're still making higher highs in the grand scheme of things, right? So it's still good, but every time you try and long that breakout, it ends up getting shot back down. So that's just the chop that's kind of designed to take your money and scare you out of trade. So we held this level, which is actually the value area as well, and now we bounced outside of value. So does this look a little bit similar to this series of price action right here? It kind of does, right? We bounced outside of value, we bounced on value, we bounced up, we swept the high, and then we ended up back lower. So right now, in that same kind of thesis, we are, we just swept the high, right? We're outside of value. And if we close beneath these candles right here, then we will probably end up, doing something like this. And then we want to see the 38K level hold, because then we're still forming higher lows, right? Oh, that's a bit of a delay there. We're still forming these higher lows, and we're still making these higher highs, right? So market structure is still good. It's just choppy and not exactly clean, to the point where, someone who's a less seasoned trader may get a little bit sketched out or pissed off, or maybe make a mistake because they're longing the break, but they're not longing the close. And so that's why I always typically like to wait for candle closes, because, right now the candle closes in 15 minutes. And so if we close exactly where we are right here, all we did was sweep the previous high. And since we closed below, it'll probably send us back lower. And then we want to see, either the weekly VWAP hold, the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average hold, or the nice clean number at 38K hold. And that's why I've got these lines here, because they've actually been quite critical. All week, for the most part, we've been bouncing in this little range, but we've just been sitting above the weekly VWAP, and we've been sitting in value. So we finally busted outside of value, but in almost the same exact iteration as right here, as right here, as right here, almost seems the same situation is forming right here. So I want everyone to be cautious, especially with this upcoming close, because we keep just getting sent lower and lower and lower, even though we have a nice little buy candle right here. So moral of the story is, close above this level right here, you will probably end up heading higher. Close below this level right here, you will probably end up heading lower. And the area that I want to see hold mostly is 38K. At worst, what I want to see is probably 37.7, 37.8 for continuation. Now, looking at ETH, and we'll go to ETH BTC, which is, not too much lower, but, every time we get that nice, beautiful candle, it gets shot back down, and then we end up moving lower. So right now, ETH BTC is still sitting inside of value, but it's still got this higher low forming, and hopefully we do something like this where maybe we sweep one more, we eclipse that, and then we move higher. That's ideally what we want to see. But right now, I can't glean anything from ETH BTC, and there's nothing that makes me want to long ETH more so than BTC. So the way that I'm looking at ETH right now is, we ended up, I said below, I think 2086, we're going to drop to 2070. Obviously that happened, so we'll get rid of that. I think it's quite obvious to anybody who's been following along on these charts that if we break below this level, then we'll drop down to the 1 hour. This is actually interesting confluence, 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, weekly VWAP, and previous daily close. So worst case scenario for today is this area right here. So I think that's just very obvious. So we told the TTC community, if you can get above 2110, then you can make it your way up to 2126, and then obviously above 2126, you can make your way up to 2160. So currently, as it stands, the ETH chart actually looks a little bit more attractive than BTC, because we didn't sweep that high, right? We're still below the high from overnight, and this is actually a pretty solid looking candle. So I think it's probably more likely than not that ETH ends up making its way up to this high right here, which is around 21.26, 21.30. And then if you can get above that high, then you'll make your way up to 21.60. And if we kind of go back to BTC right now, look, we got some buying coming in. So that's why you always want to be patient, wait for candle close. Because if you longed up top and then you saw it drop, a couple $100, you probably may get a little bit sketched out or whatever. So if you didn't buy here, if we get a close above this level right here, you can definitely long into continuation for 39.6. If not, then it's going to be a lot more tricky, and you may want to wait for another bounce at this level, or maybe play a short, at this level if you see some sort of rejection. So back to ETH, good looking candle closed in 11 minutes. Again, probably going to be likely to take this level at minimum. And then if we can get above this level, it'll probably end up here. If we see any sort of weird rejection and end up dropping below this level, then this is pretty much the level you want to see hold. You can definitely drop down here or maybe here at worst. But I would say, this would really be my last line in the sand for any bull moves. Else I would just remain patient and just wait for a better setup. So, but moral of the story is things do look good from this perspective. And are continuing to move higher. So I'll go, since it's Friday, I'm going to go over a couple other coins that I think are attractive. Matic definitely looks attractive. It doesn't have the full 3-tap, but it does, it is forming, a very nice kind of bottomy pattern. Bottoms, higher low, just formed a higher high today, right? It kind of broke above this. So in terms of market structure, you want to see that break. You can make your way up here, get above this level, then you can start talking about these levels up here. Another one is AVAX. AVAX is probably a little bit more overextended just because you do have this resistance level right here. But if it does make it above this level right here, it should probably end up running to the recent highs, which is, just under 25. And I'm trying to think if there's any other one on my list. This new coin, PYTH, Pith, is kind of what I've been saying in my head. But I don't know, maybe I'm botching the analysis. But friend asked me about this. I drew this. So basically, if you're looking to recreate this at home, this is definitely an easy kind of buy area, demand zone, as I call it. So basically you can see that, kind of ignore this for now. Just imagine that you've got only this right here. You're imagine that the chart is stopped like right here. And so if you're looking at how to draw this, and I want a rectangle. Okay. So you start at the low right here, right? Because that's obviously where price bounced. And then we kind of draw it into the candle bodies of the previous range, right? So if you draw it into the candle bodies, because basically the demand zone is people were selling up here, right? And then it busted through this area. So it makes sense that on a pullback, if this is where people were selling, there was a lot of seller demand that was then broken. It would make sense that there's going to be some buyer demand in the same area. And obviously if it breaks down, then you can short below this area, which is the same instance as longing above this area, which would have been a very, very fruitful trade. If it holds this area similar to how it did here, then it's just going to get sent back down. And in this case, it would get sent back up. So this was a beautiful little demand zone here. Obviously, I think the best buy would have been, a drop in this bucket. And obviously, if it does drop back down, you can re-enter probably as low as 36 cents. But this is, in terms of technical plays, not the worst play in the world. And I wouldn't use too much leverage, because if it drops from 39 to 36, that's a pretty significant drop if you're using leverage. But in the grand scheme of things, this is how you would play it. So buy here, put your stop, right where these candle bodies are. And then if it does drop below and confirm below, like it did, like it rose above and then it confirmed right here, then that's when you would short lower. But right now it does look like higher is likely until we see the low end of the box broken. So that is the analysis for the week. Let's just look back once more at ETH BTC, or so ETH USD. So again, we have not seen the break above here, so I would not be longing this. You know, it was wise to long down here. And then for Bitcoin, again, you know, just kind of getting sent back and forth. If it closes below here, I probably don't want to long, because I have a feeling that it's just going to do the same thing that it did the past couple of weeks. But if we do close below, I also, you know, you technically do have a short if it closes below, but, you know, just with the way the market's been rolling, it's tough to really stack shorts. But at minimum, this would be your play if you're shorting right here. So stop, you know, risk 0.5% to make 1.5%. So I definitely would not, again, I would not long this unless it closes above 38.9. And 38.9 is a little high, but really above this high right here, I would not long unless it closes above that. And same for ETH, I would not long unless it closes above that. The plays that we told the TTC community want to see 38.3 hold. We told TTC we want to see 2070 hold. Obviously they did. You know, got some good scalp plays. We do obviously want to see continuation. I'm certainly not rooting for lower, but if you want to long, or you want to buy more spot or whatever, then you need to wait for those confirmations, in my opinion. So with that being said, good luck, happy trading. See everybody on Monday.